Ready for some everyday decor ideas that'll fit in with any style or color palette? Well, you're in luck. Hi, my name is Leslie and welcome to Happy Tuesday, where we do crafts and DIY and home decor and more. Today I have for you 5 super cute, easy, and very budget-friendly ideas that you can make that'll suit any decor or color palette. Now, don't forget to stick around until the very end and I'll have a hint on one of next week's projects. So grab your favorite beverage and let's get crafting! Here's a quick sneak peek into all 5 of today's projects. I am so excited to share these with you today. And that will bring us right to project number 1. This one is super easy and so budget friendly. So all you'll need is 1 styrofoam ball, and how big your ball is will determine how big or small your mushrooms become. And then you'll also need a stick from outdoors, or you could use a large dowel, and that would work too. So you're going to cut your styrofoam ball in half, and I used a little hacksaw that I picked up at a I want to say flea market, and then I'm going to use my miter shear, not my miter shears, I'm going to use my miter box and saw, and I am going to cut that twig branch into 2 pieces about, I'd say 2.5, 3 inches long. And then I'm going to grab some raffia, and I am going to grab about 9 strands, depends on how thin or thick your strands are. And I am going to show you my struggles in getting these braided. So I thought I could glue those pieces together at the end and they would stick, but they didn't. So then I had to tape them together, and then I grabbed some tape and thought I would tape that onto my silicone mat. Well, silly me, I mean, it's silicone, things aren't going to stick to it. And I tried more than once, and then I added more tape and thought I would do this again, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I finally did grab a clip, and I'm going to clip it to the end of my silicone mat here in a minute. But I say all that to say we are going to braid these strands, and you're going to need enough braided strands too, and here we are. We're going to go ahead and clip it. That'll make it so much easier. But we're going to need enough braided strands to go all the way around that half of the styrofoam cap, which will be our mushroom cap. And so I had, I guess, a single bundle, and that seemed to be enough for 1 mushroom cap. And I did tape both ends together to kind of keep them together, so I'm going to trim that tape off as I get ready to use it. And I am using my brand new hot glue gun. I am loving this. It is cordless, and here's the brand, and I'll also have it linked below. It's put out by Bleds, and I love it. The tip is the perfect size tip. The glue gun itself, it feels like it's kind of like halfway in between a high heat and a low temp. It did not make my styrofoam melt, so I loved that. And it kept it charged for about 2 hours, which for a cordless, batteryless glue gun, that's a lot of time. I've had several other cordless glue guns in the past, and they don't seem to keep a charge much more than 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'm having to stick them back on the charger. So I was loving this. It also has a little stand that goes to it, and I really wanted to love that because it sits so nicely on the counter. But it just didn't want to stay inside it has like these little I guess puzzle pieces, we'll say. That's not the right word, but and they join together, so kind of like a little joint. Anyway, so we are going to continue wrapping around that raffia all the way around the bottom of our mushroom, down our stick twig there, and all the way to cover up the bottom. And here they are, and I think they turned out so stinking cute. And they're just that perfect vibe. Mushrooms are kind of in right now, but they'll also carry you over into the early fall. I just wanted to pop in here real quick and say thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all your love and support, and we have finally reached that 7,000 subscriber mark. I am so excited and appreciate you guys so much. Now, if you're not already a subscriber, I hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell. You'll really help my channel grow. Give today's video a big old thumbs up, share it with your friends, and comment down below. Now, let's get back to crafting. Here we are with project number 2, and I think maybe this is my favorite one of the video. So whenever I'm at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or anywhere like that, I always like to look through whatever scrap fabrics they have, and I picked up this cotton kind of neutral for, I think it was $1.62, super cheap. And I am going to use my rotary cutter and mat, and I am going to cut a slice at about 1 3/4 inches. So I'm going to cut that all the way down, and I'm going to do that several times. But once we get this first one cut, then we are going to take our piece and fold it in half, make sure that everything lines up, and we are going to cut these pieces at 2 3/4 inches. So you've got an 1 3/4 inch slice, and then you got a 2 3/4 inch piece. We're going to fold that in half, and starting at about the halfway point, we're going to round that up to a point. So I'll do this for you several times so that you can see it, but we're just, starting kind of at that halfway point and then rounding that up, and that'll be the top of our floral petal. Now, once we've gotten all of those cut and all of the floral petals cut, then I will show you the next step, which will be gluing those into like little petals. So we're going to go ahead and get these cut, and here I'll show you again. We're just going to fold that in half lengthways, and then starting about halfway up, we are going to round that up and come to a point at the top. Now, we have a bunch of those done, and so I've got a little wood round that my husband cut me, and I know you can find them anywhere, but this one is about 3 inches in diameter, and we are going to glue our flower petals on there. So you'll see where we folded it in half. We're going to do that again, and then we're going to fold over the other 2 sides in the opposite direction, and then kind of give that a little bit of glue to hold those folds together. And then we're going to glue it on the underside, and then we're going to glue it right next to the one next to it on our wood round. Now I put that one on upside down, and ask me how I know. It's because the fold was in the wrong direction. So just if you always fold them in the same direction and you always put them on in the same way, then you'll always have them going in the direction. But I kept checking just to make sure in the beginning. I wanted to make sure they were all in the same direction. And so we're just going to continue folding those over and bringing that to a tip, and then we're going to go ahead and slide that in right next to the one before it. And once we've gotten a bunch of those done, here I've got my cordless glue gun back out again. It really charged pretty quickly, and it heats up really quickly, so I like that factor too. And we are going to now finish up our little flower with this last couple of petals. You can see it did take a lot of petals, but I love the fullness of the sunflower, and I think it just kind of gives it that more realistic look. And then you can kind of fluff it out however you want it to fluff, so that the petals are showing the way you'd like. Now I grabbed one of these 4-pack of dowels from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take one out and put a gob of hot glue on the back side, and then just kind of gave that a little angle at the bottom. Took a couple more petals and made them into flowers, and here is our sunflower all nice and done. And I love the way this turned out, and I love the way it sits against those flowers. That'll bring us to project number 3. Y'all asked for a little bit more macrame, so here we are. We are going to make this kind of palm leaf wall hanging, I guess. And so I started out with a piece of
craft paper. It's a 12 by 12, you know, like scrapbook paper or what have you. And I'm just going to keep cutting until it comes out to the leaf size and design that I want. But I wanted a big one, so that's why I pulled that 12 by 12 piece of paper. And then I'm going to cut out slits, kind of give it that palm leaf appearance. Now the slits are more just for guide for me, and we're not really going to cut those out of the macrame fabric. When we get to that point, I'll show you how we're going to handle that. But I wanted to have something really stiff to be able to use to cut it out with, and turns out that because the macrame is so heavy, I needed this cardboard anyway to put on the back side of my project so that it stays stiff and straight and I can hang it up. So this is just a real thin piece of cardboard. I think it was the back side of last year's calendar that I saved. And it was a big desk calendar. So I measured across our leaf there and added about an inch, and that's how long I'm going to make this piece of cardboard, because we're going to, instead of having to measure out each individual piece, we're going to wrap it around this cardboard. If you guys were watching when we made the macrame feather flag a couple of weeks ago, then you know I cut each individual piece out, and that was kind of a pain. So this time I decided we're going to take a little bit of a shortcut, and we're going to wrap it around that cardboard piece. Now for the middle piece, or your stem, no, it's not called a stem, it's called a spine. For your spine piece, you're going to measure how long your leaf is on your paper product, and then add a few inches to that. That way you've got some excess to kind of knot up and be the bottom. So once you've got a bunch of that cord wrapped around, we're going to go ahead and cut it off of our cardboard, and then cut all those pieces in half. And that's what we're going to use to start forming our leaf. So our feather projects that we did, and I will have that linked below if you did not see that for 4th of July, our feather project that we did, I did a 2-strand piece, but for this we're going to do a 1-strand piece. So to make it easier on myself, I'm going to go ahead and lay out all my strands underneath my spine piece, and that way everything will be ready. And we are just going to pull it up to the center point and then wrap it right over left. Now I wanted this to go ahead and be taut, and this clipboard is really helping keep everything stiff and straight. So we're going to pull that taut, and we're going to push those up next to each other, and we're going to continue that process right over left until we get all of these tied and on our spine piece. Now, in hindsight, if we had done the 2-piece method, maybe it would have been able to be stiff enough without the cardboard backing, but I won't know for sure unless I do it again. So I've gotten my little dog brush over there, but this particular macrame cord did not want to brush out, and so I am unraveling each strand and pulling the 4 strands out, and then I'll brush it. So you can see I'm trying to brush it, and it's just not coming apart real easy. And so I just stuck in a movie and unraveled everything. It went pretty quick. So if your macrame cord is more like what we used for the 4th of July piece, that did brush out fairly easily. This one just didn't want to. And I think I might have picked this up at Michael's maybe, or Hobby Lobby. The other piece for the 4th of July flag I bought on Amazon. So maybe it's a difference in manufacturer. Anyway, once we have all that done, you're going to leave about, I'd say 2.5 inches at the bottom of your spine, and that'll be the bottom. So you don't want your spine to go all the way to the end of your leaf. You want to leave some hanging, and that way then your macrame cord will be the bottom of your project and not the spine. And then once you get all that all laid out and flat, then we are going to start spraying it. Now I have this fabric stiffener and it just didn't want to make it stiff enough. I was wondering if maybe I used some hairspray or maybe some good old spray starch, if that would have been better. But I didn't have any, and so I was just going to use my fabric stiffener, and I just sprayed a bunch on until I got it as stiff as I thought I could make it. And then we are going to use our cardboard as our guide to go ahead and cut our leaf out. Now you don't have to worry about getting this real fussy cut. You can go back in after you've gotten it all done and kind of clean up your edges, and especially once it's laid out on the cardboard, it's real easy to clean up those edges and make sure that everything is as trimmed as you would like it to be, and you have those nice clean fine ends. Now we're going to go ahead and brush that out one more time and make sure that's all good and stiff. And I've got this on top of the piece of cardboard now, and you can see we're just going to using our finger kind of go into those slits and push that macrame cord to the other side so we can kind of get the look of our leaf. And it looks a little bit more severe, I guess, right at this moment, but I'm going to go ahead and get that all brushed out and until I get it looking exactly the way I want it to. And then once I've gotten that looking good, then I'm going to go ahead and mark where I want to have all my pieces cut out, and I will slide it off of the cardboard and cut those pieces out. So you can see I just flipped it over like a little pizza, and that way it keeps its shape and I'm not having to continue to brush it out over and over and over again. But we're going to go ahead and cut these out now, and those will be our little palm-shaped leaves. And once we've gotten that done, I'm going to grab some craft glue and paste that on there. And then we're going to go ahead and put our macrame piece right over top, and then you can trim off any excess cardboard as you see it so that it's not visible through your project. And once you've gotten that all done, then you are just going to slide it on top of that little piece of stick, and this is our project all sweet and complete. And I think that it is such a sweet look against that brown door. Now here is project number 4. This one is super simple. I bought this, I want to say it's 3/8 inch Sisal, I think is the kind of rope it is. I bought that 50-yard piece at, or 50-foot piece, sorry, 50-foot piece at Walmart. And I actually needed probably about 65 feet. So if you're going to do this project using that, you probably want to pick up 2 of those. And then we are going to use these 2 Dollar Tree bowls as our kind of guide. And originally I thought, I would just cover that in plastic and make it all out of the rope. And then I thought, no, I'd like this to really have some stiffness to it. And so we're just going to use that hot glue and glue the rope directly onto the plastic bowl. And that way it will keep its shape and it will have a nice plastic interior for all those items you want to put inside. I set mine on the counter and put some fruit in it. You could use it as kind of like a harvest bowl maybe for all the things coming out of your garden. But on this particular project, I went ahead and cut each individual piece, row, I guess, as it were, so that I didn't have, a little spot at the top and a little spot at the bottom where they didn't quite meet together. And because of that sisal rope being as stiff as it is, I really needed wire cutters in order to cut it apart. So grab your wire cutters or your tin snips or whatnot if you're going to use this. I even tried my cardboard scissors and they didn't work out so well. It really needed those tin snips. So once we've gotten the whole outside done, I really wanted the bottom of the inside of the bowl to look the same, and so I am going to just wrap that around into kind of like a little coaster spot there, and we're just going to twirl that around and around to cover up that bottom space. Now, if you didn't want to buy this rope, and really what I intended to do was use Dollar Tree rope to make this, but I didn't have enough and I couldn't find it at the 2 Dollar Trees that I went to, so I like the color of this rope anyway. And here's my favorite part, taking my fire and burning off all those frayed edges and just using that little brush to kind of brush off the little burn spots and all the loose little pieces. Once you've gotten that done, to protect your project and to keep it from being able to collect all the dust and the dirt, I am going to give the whole thing a coat of Mod Podge. And for this container, the size that I picked, it took this entire bottle of Mod Podge to cover the outside. But I love, love, love the way this turned out. And I am so excited to have it on my counter. And I just think that it just is that perfect neutral look. And that will bring us to our final project number 5. A while back, I made a butterfly out of wood beads, and somebody asked if I could do a dragonfly, and I didn't want to do the whole dragonfly out of the wood beads like I did with the butterfly, but I thought I would make a bead-inspired dragonfly. So that's what we're going to do here. So I have 2 of the tiniest beads, and then a slightly bigger bead and a slightly bigger bead from that, and that's going to be our dragonfly's body. So we're going to take that one piece and slide those beads on it, and then give it a good twist, and then create the antenna. And then we're going to take another piece of wire, and we are going to fashion the top part of the dragonfly's wings, leaving an extra piece down at the bottom so that we can connect our bottom piece of wings. And once we've gotten that all situated, I'm going to take some more of that macrame cord so that all of our pieces, match and go together. And I am going to weave this in and out of that wing. I'm gluing it right there near where the body's going to go, in the center, and again, like I said, weaving it in and out to create kind of that textured wing look on this dragonfly. And we're going to weave it on the both sides of the top wing and also both sides of the bottom wing. And we're going to only weave it about 2/3 of the way through the wing, so we're going to leave some of that wire showing. And once I've gotten to the end of what I've cut here, and these are leftover pieces from my earlier project, then I am going to just grab my hot glue and just glue that in so that it kind of all blends together, and then you don't really see that end. The other thing I'm going to do is just grab that hot glue and dab a little bit of hot glue on the top of the wing to hold that last piece in place, so that your macrame cord isn't sliding around. Now, if you don't have any macrame cord and you want to make this, you could also use like a thin ribbon or twine to do this project, or even what's that, cotton baker's twine. That would be good for this too. It might take a little bit more because it's a little thinner in stature than this macrame cord, but it's another option. And you can use any color or stiffness of wire, just whatever jewelry wire you happen to have hanging around will do. Even that wire that they used to sell at the Dollar Tree in the hardware section, man, I wished I could find that. I used to use that all the time. I haven't seen that in a hot minute. Have any of you guys seen it recently? Let me know in the comments below. But once we have that top wing done, we are going to take a little bit more wire, and we're going to make that bottom wing about half of the size of the top wing. And so we'll just wrap that around itself, and then once we've gotten our macrame cord on it, then we will use that extra wire that we have from the top wing, and we will wrap all that together. So again, we're just gonna weave this back and forth in and out of that wing, leaving the ends open, and then we will put the whole thing together. I am so excited for the next few upcoming videos. You guys know what time it's going to be. It's going to be Christmas in July. It is so crazy to think that it's already here. Do you guys have any requests for Christmas in July? Let me know in the comments below. All right, now that we've gotten our bottom wing done, we are going to wrap those together and trim that off. Then we're going to grab our body and throw some hot glue in there and connect our body to our wings for our little dragonfly. And then I added a dab of hot glue in the top of that bead to hold the antenna and the body part in place. And isn't this so stinking cute? These would be super cute hanging, or I just grabbed a little, I think that's a screw, and just set it on there on the walls that we have that are, this has this barnwood look in part of my living area. And here is a final look at all of today's projects. I love them so much. Let me know in the comments below which one or ones you guys love, or which one or ones you would like to try to recreate. And as always, if you do recreate anything, shoot me an email with pictures of your creations. I love to see them. And you can send those to happytuesday@gmail.com.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really did enjoy our time together. Now, since we are celebrating reaching that 7,000 subscriber mark, next week's video, we are going to need some champagne corks and some Christmas colored paints. But until then, make it a great day and Happy Tuesday!